This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day. Carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Unified Purpose, the podcast where we share inspiring tales of compassion, resilience, and community spirit. I'm your host, Oliver, Penji's nonprofit community coordinator, and I'm joined here with a very special guest, Maria from Think Together. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So let's begin. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your story with Think Together?
Yes. Like you said, my name is Maria McRoberts, and I am the art director at Think Together. I'm part of the marketing and communications department at this organization that partners with school districts to change the odds for kids. What we do is that we provide after school and enrichment programs to kids in underserved communities.
Okay, that's really interesting. I see that, for example, for me personally, I feel like education is something like that is really, really important for these underdeveloped communities, because it's something that they maybe don't have much access to. And it's something that's very basic that even I feel that I've been privileged enough to have access to a primary school, a secondary school, a high school, and stuff like that. So it's really good to see that Think Together thinks of them, thinks of the youth of the future, and helps them. Do you have, for example, any special programs that you would like to highlight here?
We have quite a few different programs. It is my personal opinion, and it aligns with the Think Together vision, that education is a very powerful thing to have and thing to go through. And we are trying to make sure that kids have access to that education independently of where the zip code that they belong to. We want to make sure that everyone has access to the education that will allow them to succeed beyond high school and have all of the life opportunities available to them, no matter what that path looks like. We want to make sure that kids reach graduation with having multiple options available to them. So our programs tackle the entire education journey from really early learning to ages K through 12th grade, high school, college, career readiness. We partner with different corporate foundations to support some of these programs. And then we also rely on our fundraising efforts to support some others. We really communicate extremely well with our school district partners to guarantee that their needs are being covered. And sometimes that is the elementary age group, and sometimes it's high school, and sometimes it's just our younger kids.
That's incredible to hear. It's like a kid can have like their whole education journey begin with Think Together since they were like, 2 years old until they're like 16, 18. And even when they go into college too. It's incredible. It's incredible to hear about that. Do you have like any funny stories about examples that I just given, like a kid that that started when he was just a baby, and then you see him go into college?
Yes, we have many of those stories of kids that we're following their entire journey and that now are really successful architects or doctors. And what's really special about Think Together is that sometimes they come back to their Think Together origin story, and they are acting as tutors or mentors or participate in fundraising communications. They really believe in the power of our mission. And since they have this special attachment of being a Think Together kid, Either they come as staff members to be program leaders with future generations, and a lot of them become Think Together staff, and then they also keep their journey as part of the organization. That was one of the reasons why Think Together was very appealing to me, to know that there's people that have worked with us for 15 years who come from either being a parent of a Think Together kid or were Think Together kids themselves.
That's really, really lovely to hear, because I felt like I read on a lot about nonprofits who had this like snowball effect, or what I call the give back effect, where people who joined or were affected by the nonprofits when they were kids, when they were just growing up, and then when they make it to a place where they can give back to them, they do. You said, they come back as doctors, they come back as staff, they come back as parents, and like that makes it so that this organic growth of the organization has the basis of I'm giving back, I am saying thanks, and that's actually something that's really, it really means a lot to me. It really means a lot to me, because helping other people is just something that's, something inherent to me, something that I like to do. I'm sure it's something that you like to do too, because you said you listen about Think Together and you joined. So speaking of that, how was your story with Think Together? How did you join? What made you join them?
I've been a graphic designer for about 15 years. So it has been a long, long time. And I'm also a parent of two kids who are now one in college and one in 10th grade. And as a working mom, there's like a special sense of loss of the time that you invest in your career, which means you're spending it away from your kids. And it has always in the back of my mind that all of this time that I was spending creating products or packaging design or things that were going to be sold in stores had a very limited impact. And I love the idea of having something that would occupy the majority of my day away from my kids to cause a stronger impact with a deeper meaning, specifically because it was time away from raising my own kids.
Yeah.
And I also have this very strong connection to education. I really think that education is power, and this intersection of having an impact in young kids and using my skills and my talents kind of aligned perfectly at the Think Together cross. It's a place where I think we can all relate to this experience of having an amazing teacher that changed your life, right? Yeah. Like either they gave you confidence that you didn't know you had lost, or really guided you to follow your dreams, or kind of influence the rest of your life, either career or just like as a personal growth. And just being in a position where we can be that role and that guidance for children seemed like very, very powerful to me. And I'm very, very happy to be able to use my experience as a designer and now leading a team of designers in that sense, really affecting people's lives, not just their kids, but their families and our communities.
That's incredible. When you said something about like the teachers that affected you, I remember one that I had,
right,
an art
we all
teacher
have one.
in middle school, who said something about I was a little maybe insecure about the little art projects that I did, and he always saw it, and he put it like A plus, good job and stuff like that. Those little things add up, and I'm sure many of the Think Together youth are experiencing that right now. They are nurturing their creativity, their education, and soon enough they can become someone like you, Maria, something that gives back, someone that helps. So yeah, that's just incredible to hear. But speaking of these kids, and I see here that you told me that they start when they were little kids and they end up, for example, even going to college. Does Think Together have like any kind of program or any way that they stay in contact with these kids after they go to college?
For some of them, we do. We also partner with some corporate foundations and companies to provide scholarships for our high school students. So it just happened this summer that we got a sponsorship for them to travel to different colleges out of state and have the opportunity to tour a campus and things like that. And we received pictures from their trips and their feedback on the college that they might decide to attend to. So most of the times we do stay in touch with these kids. A lot of it happens in a more casual format when they come back to their schools and their elementary schools and they see a program leader on campus and they reconnect. We are always open, and we love the idea of sharing the stories of our students. That really is the way that the marketing and communications department works. We highlight our actual students. As a tactical example, we don't use stock photography. Those kids that you see on our materials are actual students in program.
Wow.
We really like to use their successes to highlight the benefits of partnering with us. So we definitely keep in touch with them, and they're always welcome to come and tell us what they've been up to and how Think Together helped them along the way.
Pretty sure that's something I lovely to hear. You like see them come back, tell them all about their future and stuff like that. One of the things that I was asking myself, because I see many of these nonprofits that help with education, and this is something that I always ask about them, is how do you as a creative director, as an art director, how do you guys manage to balance the academic side and the creative side of the education for the children?
That is really, I feel like, a unique trait of the nonprofit world in general. We really tend to communicate with so many audiences. It is my special, my special place that I get to communicate with students through the designs that we create to support our program. So as an example, we have these kits to teach our children early literacy skills, for example, to learn their sight words and their letters, and having the opportunity to create those materials in-house is such a privilege, because really it's just kind of shrinking the journey of impact. We really are connecting with our students. We have a really robust department who takes care of the academics part of what we do. We really like to approach this as an opportunity to think about a child's growth in a holistic way. So we do things like STEM and arts and enrichment programs like music lessons or folklorico dances and things like that. And we also help them with homework. We really try to ensure that there's an opportunity within the Think Together program space to tackle all of this interest and really let them create this amazing world that their minds are already developing. Really, that's how we do it, in the sense of the design team supporting program with their materials.
That's great. That's great to hear. That's something that I feel like, in my opinion, it's something that's very vital for the education of children, not only developing their academic skills, but also the creative skills. Me being someone who loves to play the piano, I feel like, just having this place where you can express yourself, be it in painting, in music, it's something that's very, very important for the development of anyone. Even me, I am like 28 years old and I still feel like I just having this hobby of music, of creativity. It's like a way of personal development. I'm sure you do too.
Absolutely. And I always talk about this story of when I was a room parent for one of my kids' classroom when he was in elementary school. And it was part of my responsibilities to bring an activity for Valentine's Day to bring to the classroom. So I decided to make this a Jackson Pollock inspired craft, so for them to create some abstract artwork on a card and then write a sentiment to whoever they wanted to appreciate that day. And there was this kid who told me, and I will never forget this, but he said, I really like it when you come to class because it's the only time of the day when I
Oh,
hear that I'm doing a good job at something. And
oh,
yes,
yes,
exactly.
yeah,
That hits close. And I can totally understand how, our focus, specifically through elementary years, are be good at math, be good at reading, be good at history, and all of those things. And we really dedicate very little resources to the artistic and the creative aspect of it. So having an opportunity to get in touch with a more artistic space really, really affects your sense of self growth and self esteem. So I'm always happy when we get the opportunity to interact with our students in that way.
yeah. This just, I mean, these little kids. I feel like they are when they can express their creativity, and they find a way of saying thanks to you in their little small minds. It's just so pure. It's just so true, so honest from them.
Yeah.
And I really love hearing about it. That you said that it's like really important because it really is. When I was growing up, I didn't have much of that. I only had, like, for example, in my studies, only like about 5 to 10% was about creativity. I'm sure yours were the same or something like that. And it's good to know that the new generations are more in tune with their creative side. And speaking of that, of the new generations, you've been with Think Together now 5 years. How do you feel it has changed in these 5 years?
It has changed tremendously. I see it in two different ways. One is that organization has had incredible growth during this time, which is really nice because what it's doing is that it's highlighting the need and the value of after school programs and what we can provide in partnership with our school districts. And then the other thing that's happening is that the world of education and the world in general changes almost every day. So in the past 5 years, we've gone through a pandemic that made our students stay in the classroom, and we as an organization had to navigate how to deal with that, how to help them with their mental health when we were all struggling to figure out what was happening. But not being in the classroom with your kids really is completely different. You don't get a sense of how they're doing, if they're having a good day or a bad day. Those personal interactions were really the focus of our pivot. Like, how do we help them with academics, but also how do we get a pulse on how they're doing? So that was very challenging. And then the education world suffers different challenges every time. It's so tied to the political climate that sometimes there's funds, sometimes there's not funds. We really need to adjust so we can continue serving our schools and our communities the best way that we can possibly can with the resources that we have. So it really is this overlap of these two kind of descriptions of the environment is that the organization is growing in multiple directions. We are increasing areas that we serve now, but we're also adding touch points on how we communicate with our audiences. And at the same time, we need to navigate the political climate.
Yeah, that's something that it can't be ignored, but it can be navigated in such a way that you're still helping these kids in any way you can. You mentioned something that I would like to highlight there is about the mental health of these children, the mental health of these youth. How does Think Together help them with that? I know specifically um, we had a pandemic, we had everyone at home, and I'm sure it affected like adults like us in a way, and it affected the children in a way too. How has it affected for them? How does Think Together help them?
I think Think Together is always an opportunity for kids to communicate how they're doing. And we have program leaders and all levels of staff who are committed to their well-being. We want to make sure that they are safe and that they are developing the best way possible. So it's always part of our mission to create a safe environment for them, either physically or mentally.
Yep.
And we are always going through trainings and professional development to guarantee that we are in a position to aid them in whatever they're going through.
What do you think has been like the biggest milestone you had at your work with Think Together for this past 5 years?
Oh, it has been so many. But I really feel like increasing the size of my team is really a reflection of the value that we have as a design team within the organization. And I think what that speaks of is that all of the departments are able to recognize that we collaborate with them, all of them in the organization in so many ways. Like I said, sometimes our requests have to do with program and specific assets for our kids to use, but other times are supporting our fund development team with a specific event or a communication piece. Other times are sending our amazing videographers and photographers to site to document what's happening at school site with our program or our enrichment programs. We dedicate a lot of resources to support our team of expanded areas, emerging areas. So really having an organization that believes in you and that supports your growth as personal, but also career-wise, really is just like one of the biggest milestones, I guess.
Guys, it's great to have that balance because I had this experience with a past guest where they told me that before they founded their nonprofit, they were just like they went to college, they graduated, they started working, but they felt like I'm working here, but I feel like I'm not making a change. Maybe I'm not even happy to do the things that I know. Until they had like a revelation and like a personal revelation,
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted to help other people. And I'm sure you had a similar experience. You told me when with your family, with your kids, and even I had a similar experience, and that's why I'm here. Unified Purpose, helping nonprofits make their voices heard. So yeah, it's great to hear that there's this going a little bit off topic here, but there's this thought that I always had that it's natural for us to do good, to help people, and just talking to all of these nonprofits, I feel like it validates it to me. Like every day it gets validated by seeing that many different ways everyone helps each other, be it arts, education, environment, or Think Together here helping the youth. Looking forward to the future.
Yeah, I always relate to, I grew up in Mexico City, and I remember very, very clearly as a young girl, very little girl, one of the strongest earthquakes that our city went through in September. And, there was so much destruction, and it was so difficult to just like go day by day. And it really taught me a lesson on the power of helping without expecting anything in return. Like the society kind of organized in a way to either be at the destroyed houses trying to get people out or donating food or clothes. And I think we can see that happening multiple times. The way that we react to a crisis is just by giving, and that's really at our nature and a part of who we are as human beings. So being able to keep that afloat at surface level of the work that we do every day really is a wonderful experience.
It is. It is. And just seeing that these kids have, they are surrounded by people like yourself, Maria, by people like Think Together, that they know that they have this, like, how do you call it? Like when they are like in, no, not in danger, but in places where they don't know who to talk to, they can come to you guys, and you guys will be there always. From they were kids until they go to college.
Yeah, I think
like a support.
Yeah, we're definitely part of that network of support. We really are a trusted partner for our kids, our communities, our school districts, also amongst ourselves, like internally, all of our departments really work well together, and we are always willing to help. Sometimes solve multiple crises, like if there's a pandemic, how do we deal with it? If there is like budget changes, how do we deal with that? And we really all collaborate to help our kids.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear, Maria. And you mentioned this collaboration between departments, and yeah, I feel like sometimes good intentions are not enough. You have to be efficient at it. You have to like be there, put one foot in front of the other, and just move. Just help. And I know that sometimes the path is not easy enough every day. Sometimes everybody gets hard days at work. But can I ask you, if you had a hard day, what makes you continue? What makes you continue your work at Think Together?
I think as a designer, really our life can be very stressful. We are constantly under very tight deadlines, and the amount of work that we need to do can be very overwhelming. But I think keeping the mission at the core of what we do is always, a really nice kind of fuel to have to keep going. But I also feel like it's very important to have a life outside of work. So in my free time, for example, I'm learning how to play the guitar. I love going to museums. I collect vinyl records. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I read a lot. So I think having that space in my life where I can close my computer and just kind of disconnect and do other things that are not necessarily design related really helps a lot to kind of decompress, get some energy, some clarity back, and then be ready to tackle all of these requests the very next day.
Good to hear from a fellow musician, a fellow helper too. I go to museums too, so yeah, it's nice. It's nice just after a day of work, be it helping other people, be it maybe just a classic 9 to 5 work. Everybody needs some time to decompress.
Absolutely.
Even the youth, even the kids who are like studying, it's like their 9 to 5, and even then they need some activity after that.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's just part of keeping, take care of your mental health. I always remember this kind of analogy that someone said, like if you're in an airplane and they say, we're going to activate those oxygen masks, in order for you to help the person next to you, you have to put the mask first. Like you need to be kind of healthy and clear in order for you to help the one next to you. So I kind of just keep that in mind. I really need to take care of myself, so I can keep doing the amazing work that we're doing.
Yeah, that's incredible to hear. That's something that I always kept in mind too. Oliver gotta be perfectly fine to help other people and stuff like that.
That's right.
Well, Maria, there's something that I like to ask all of my guests before we end the podcast, is talk about the future, because we know The future is uncertain, but we can be hopeful about it. So tell me, where do you see yourself and Think Together in about 3 to 5 years?
That's a great question. And I think in my case, the future is a little bit easy to predict. There's always going to be kids who need us. And there's always going to be an organization like Think Together who wants to be there for them. So in 3 to 5 years, I'm just hoping that the number of students that we serve has increased dramatically, and that we can see how the growth of our organization is impacting more and more and more kids and more families. And I am here for the ride. I really would like to be part of that journey and what's ahead of us, and leading the part that belongs to me, and how we coordinate efforts with everyone else, I think, together to make sure that we make it.
That's great to hear, Maria. That's great to hear. I'm in a similar position. I'm just gonna be there. I'm gonna keep moving forward, keep helping people.
That's right.
Well,
that's right.
That's right. We gotta be there. We gotta be there.
We have to be there.
Well, with that hopeful vision of the future, we'll wrap up today's conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your work.
Thank you.
And the impact it's making in the community, Maria. For anyone listening, if you'd like to get involved, whether by fundraising or volunteer, you can check out the links in the description. As always, thank you all for watching. And Maria, thank you once again for your time.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
You've been listening to Unified Purpose, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest. And to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend and, of course, subscribe.